Every 13 seconds, someone gives up on a dream. Not because they lacked talent, not because they lacked opportunity, but because life felt too hard. They felt overwhelmed, defeated, alone. But what if the hardness isn't a sign to stop? What if it's a test to see how badly you want it? Imagine this. You're climbing a mountain. The air gets thinner. Your legs ache. Every step feels like a battle. But the summit, it's still there, waiting. Life's challenges are not roadblocks, they're stepping stones. Napoleon Hill once said, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." So, when life feels too hard, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How is this shaping me? Where is the seed of benefit in this struggle? Because within every hardship lies the opportunity for growth, for strength, for transformation, but only if you choose to see it. So, the next time life feels too hard, remember, it's not a sign to quit. It's a call to rise. So what is the formula? What turns an ordinary person into a high achiever? What separates the one who quits when it's hard from the one who becomes unforgettable? Here it is, raw and unfiltered. Vision plus belief plus discipline plus adaptability equals achievement. Not complexity, not privilege, not luck. Vision, because no one accidentally climbs a mountain. You must see it first. You must imagine a life beyond your current one, vividly and relentlessly, until it haunts you. The greatest achievers don't move because things are easy. They move because their vision won't let them sleep. Think of Edison. How many times did he fail? Over 1,000? But he wasn't chasing a paycheck. He was chasing the light he already saw in his mind. Think of Carnegie, born into poverty, no formal education. But he had a vision of legacy so clear, he built steel into an empire. If you can't see the life you want, don't expect to live it. But vision alone is not enough, because without belief, your dream is a ghost. Belief, that sacred force that says, even if no one sees it, I'll still build it. You can have $1 million idea, but if you don't believe you're worthy of it, you'll sabotage it every time. That's why Napoleon Hill drilled this one truth into the heart of every reader. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Belief is more than hope. It's a decision, a conviction, a war cry that says, I will not let this die inside me. But belief with no action is still just a fantasy. So comes the next layer of the formula, discipline, the trait no one glamorizes, the grind, the structure, the daily unsexy rituals that turn potential into proof. High achievers don't do what they feel like. They do what's required. When you're tired, you move. When you're uninspired, you move. When no one is watching, you move. Because movement is sacred. It's how you prove to your subconscious, we don't wait anymore, we build. And that building, that relentless pursuit, must be flexible. Because the last piece of the formula is this, adaptability. The world doesn't care how committed you are to your original plan. It will test you, break your process, knock your timing off course. The achievers, they adjust, they pivot, they reinvent without losing the vision. They don't need the path to be perfect because they are the constant. The one who adapts wins. So now you know the formula, not magic, not mystery, just a decision to live differently. Vision, belief, discipline, adaptability. If one is missing, you stall. But when they all align, you stop chasing greatness and you start radiating it. Here's the part no one wants to hear. No one is coming to save you. Not your boss, not your partner, not your friends, not the system, and definitely not the version of you that's addicted to waiting. Waiting for motivation, waiting for clarity, waiting for someone to believe in you first. That's not how high achievers are made. You want to know how they're made? They stop outsourcing their power. They stop blaming, complaining, pointing fingers, and they make the most important decision of their life. From this moment forward, it's all on me. Because the second you take full ownership, you stop being the victim of your life and start becoming the architect of it. You realize you are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the labels they gave you when you didn't know any better. You are only one thing, what you choose to do next. And here's the secret. The fastest way to change your life is to stop trying to feel different and start behaving different. You don't wait for belief, you build it. You don't wait for momentum, you generate it. You don't wait to be chosen, you choose yourself. Because every high achiever you admire, they weren't born with something special. They just kept showing up, day after day, doubt after doubt, failure after failure, until one day they looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. Not because they became someone new, but because they finally became the person they were meant to be. That's what this is really about. Not chasing goals, not achieving for approval, but reclaiming the identity you buried when you started playing small. And that requires unlearning the limits, unlearning the lies, unlearning the story that told you you were too late, not ready, not enough. Because the truth, you're not too late. You're right on time. You're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to start. And no, you're not broken. You're becoming, and becoming isn't easy. It's not supposed to be, because transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in decision. One decision to stop breaking promises to yourself. One decision to follow through even when it's hard. One decision to stop dabbling and start dominating, because the high achiever version of you, they're not waiting on a perfect plan. They're not negotiating with weakness. They're not asking for permission. They're already moving. They're already building. They're already watching the world catch up to what they've already decided. And that's the point. You don't need the world to believe in you. You need to believe in yourself long enough to outlast the noise. Because the people who win, they don't win because it was easy. They win because they were unavailable for anything less. Because eventually, you stop asking, how do I become a high achiever? And you start saying, I already am. Now I just act like it. That's the real shift. When it's no longer something you chase, it's something you embody. You stop needing motivation. You move off memory, the memory of every time you kept your word when no one believed you could. You stop needing applause. You build quietly, knowing the results will speak so loudly, they'll echo in rooms you haven't even walked into yet. You stop needing to feel ready. You realize readiness is a myth sold to keep you waiting. While the world passes you by, high achievers don't wait. They work. They train when it's inconvenient. They study when others sleep. They invest when others spend. They plan 5 moves ahead while the crowd waits for Friday. And what you realize is this: the world rewards those who move with clarity and conviction, not those who tiptoe, not those who ask permission, not those who wait for signs, and certainly not those who outsource their potential to luck. It doesn't matter where you started. It matters where you're headed and how relentlessly you're willing to move toward it without apology. Because high achievement is not talent. It's a system, and the formula has already been written. Vision, belief, discipline, adaptability, ownership, relentlessness. That's it. You want to change your life? Master those. You want to make history? Live those. You want to wake up with pride, sleep with peace, and walk through this world with unshakable self-respect? Burn the bridge back to your excuses. Torch the timeline that says someday, and move now, today. Because the version of you that wins, they're not waiting to feel different. They're deciding to be different. They're not counting days. They're stacking wins. They're not hoping, they're declaring. And if this message hits something deep in you, that fire you've been trying to hide, that voice inside that's been whispering, there's more, then don't let this moment pass. Subscribe, not just to this channel, but to the life you were meant for, to the standard you buried under fear and distraction. Click that button, turn on notifications, and remind yourself every day, you are the formula. You are the system. You are the force. You are the one. And the world is just now about to find out